Greetings, everyone who is watching this on the internet. This is Group 7, and in this presentation, we're going to go over the DevOps book of Chapter 5, selecting which value stream to start with. Now, for every startup company, they need to figure out first in choosing a value stream that requires careful consideration because the value stream will dictate who will be involved in the transformation, but it'll also affect the organization as a whole. And when you're choosing it, you have to carefully pick and protect improvement projects that will improve the state of the organization. For example, if you were a fast food business, you would probably focus more on the quality of your food offerings and customer service. the, the customer is mostly right, and if there's something wrong, then it would be best to address those issues immediately. Now, also one thing to keep in mind is notice the failures of others from the past of from the past businesses that went bankrupt because they didn't transform like everyone else, and learn how to adapt in a quicker environment. And then once you learn to adapt and be able to create something that is successful, then you need to demonstrate the early wins so as to give everyone confidence in your brand. Now, one example is the fashion retailer Nordstrom, who had been in business for nearly a century. And when they shifted towards the online marketing, the e-commerce, there were a lot of feedback that their application for mobile phones didn't work so well, and that their on-store services were unsatisfactory uh, sta- in normal e-commerce standards. So what happened was that in 2011 they decided to focus on three specific areas: the customer mobile application, the in-store restaurant system itself, and their digital properties. Now, each had business goals that were not being met, and Nordstrom was more of a system of record, making sure that everything was done right. But in doing so, their methods took longer than what other businesses took in the same period of time. So receptive to finding a new method of success would be a good way to reduce to optimize for more faster services. Another way is to create goals that deliver fast on demand deliveries and faster response to customer feedback. This is the reason why a lot of businesses now would use the services of Amazon to take care of their products, to make sure that it's delivered fast and on time, and to make sure that they would get as much customer feedback from their products so that it can be either improved upon or be able to deliver in bulkier demands. Another way is to identify problematic areas where the lead times can be reduced. You Businesses do not want to stay in the development cycle forever. They want to shorten that development cycle and get it into operations as fast as possible. And then one important aspect to consider is evaluate the candidate value streams. As, ask yourself as you're looking at the value streams, are they greenfield or brownfield service? And is it a system of engagement or a system of record? So let's go more into detail on that. Now, software services or products can are categorized as either a greenfield service or a brownfield service. Now, what that means is that it all depends on the development of something. If it's a greenfield development, then that means that it is a brand new uh, software project or initiative that's never been done before, and then it has no pre-existing code base process or teams. In like this is a brand new fresh start. And the brownfield development is dealing with products or services that are already serving the customers or has been in operations for years, and during that time it may have created a significant amount of debt, technically speaking. Now, DevOps has been used to successfully transform the brownfield projects of all sorts. They, it has been made to help improve on the brownfield services dramatically. Several examples is the CSG International uh, business billing service that provided customer service and the bill printings of other businesses. What When the internet was booming in the 2010s, there was a huge demand for more billing processes and stuff that it needed to be improved upon. So what CSG did was that they turned their daily deployments into a production like environment and doubled the frequency of their customer releases from a biannual to a quad annual service. And as a result of that, they they increase the reliability of the application and then reduce their code deployment lead times with to less than a day. Another one is Etsy. In 2009, it only had 35 employees and was generating so much revenue. It got to the point where it it was it had to do a lot of stuff and they couldn't handle it. So they literally had to transform their their whole business model into a more friendly virtual environment so that it can handle the large amount of growth that it did in the years to come, making it one of the most successful DevOps businesses.
Okay, when it comes to making improvements, we can focus in two areas: the systems of record and systems of engagement. Systems of record focuses on slow paced changes and regulation requirements. Type 1, do it right, whereas systems of engagement will focus on a higher pace of change to support rapid feedback loops that enable experimentation to best meet customer needs. Type 2, or do it fast. Finding a balance between these two fundamentals makes for a better and more successful DevOps environment, where we simultaneously deliver higher levels of throughput and reliability. Scott Prue, the VP of Product Development at CSG, observed that the bimodal IT, or systems of record and systems of engagement, when they are kept separate, come at a cost to the customer's trust. The customer deserves both speed and quality. Teams need technical excellence, whether it be support for a 30-year-old mainframe application, a Java application, or a mobile application. As we grow, we need to adapt to the market while maintaining support of the customer. When we improve brownfield systems, we should strive to reduce their complexity and improve their reliability and stability. But in addition, we should also make them faster, safer, and easier to change. Now, with every organization, we need to recognize that there will always be groups and teams that cover a wide range of attitudes towards the adoption of new ideas. Geoffrey A. Moore first depicted this spectrum in the form of the technology adoption life cycle in Crossing the Chasm, where the chasm represents the classic difficulty of reaching groups beyond the innovators and early adopters. New ideas get embraced by innovators, and others with conservative mindsets resist change. Our goal is to find those that already believe in the need for DevOps and enable them to innovate and improve their own processes. Don't fret when it comes to trying to change the more conservative people, but try to create success through groups that support your direction for adapting and use that as a foundation for success.
So the main goal is to broaden the reach of DevOps across the organization we are part of. To do this, we need to separate the large major improvement goals into smaller incremental steps. A benefit of using smaller steps means lower response time to errors, which results in quicker fixes for these errors. This allows us to demonstrate the value of the system through early wins and successes. As the successes begin to pile up, we are now able to begin expanding the scope of our DevOps plans. This is no small task, and it will require a lot of effort in order to grow our levels of credibility, influence, and support. So in order to do that, we want to influence 3 groups of people. Number 1 is the innovators and early adopters. These are kindred spirits who are usually the first to volunteer to help us on our journey. Ideally, these are also people who have respect as well as influence from the rest of the organization, which results in more credibility for us. And the second group is the silent majority. We seek out the teams that are also on board with our ideas. However, these teams are usually a little bit less visible and less influential than the first group of individuals. But by gaining support from these groups, we can create kind of a bandwagon effect to further grow our influence. And then we get to the third group, the holdouts. So these are the high-profile, high-influence individuals that are most likely going to inhibit our ideas and resist and potentially even sabotage our efforts. This group is last in our chain down the teams that we want to influence. We usually come to these guys after we've got the silent majority, just so we've got that extra backing behind us. A good quote that can summarize the mentality that we need comes from, I'm going to butcher his name, Ron Van Kemenade, CIO of ING, who helped transform the organization to one of the most admired tech organizations out there. He said, "Leading change requires courage, especially in corporate environments where people are scared and fight you. But if you start small, you really have nothing to fear. Any leader needs to be brave enough to allocate teams to do some calculated risk-taking." So then, in conclusion, Peter Drucker, a leader in the development of management education, observed little fish learn to be big fish in little ponds, emphasizing, starting small and, slowly growing. Choose carefully where and how to start, as we emphasized earlier with the different groups. We want to start with, the higher profile people who are going to be on our side. And then as we start, implementing our plans, we want to create value without, jeopardizing or influencing the rest of the organization too much. And then as we go along, we'll build a bigger base of support, which will expand, DevOps across the organization, which will then increase the recognition and gratitude across the whole organization. So yeah, thanks for watching and have a good one.